That's it is being recorded. Do we have to do that every single
No,
time?
you don't have to do that.
Oh, thank goodness.
Everybody's here and Joel's the only one online, so. But it yells at you anyway. If you're on the other end, it says, this meeting is being recorded. Are you okay with that?
Okay, so we're gonna call the meeting to order at 5:31. Do we have any updates to the agenda?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so now, so we have public comment. Is that what you're here for?
I come to find out if they said to come and talk to about seeing if they could do something with the water bill on the house.
Okay. We're gonna probably be talking about some of the issues that we had. What was the issues that you had?
Well, I mean, the person I was selling the house to abandoned the house like 2-3 years ago.
I think I was just talking about.
And the water's been off, I guess almost the last 2 years. And when I came into the town clerk's office, they said maybe they could lower the bill for me because he owes like $3,500 on the water.
Okay, I'm gonna need a little more background on this because I was
the Peter St. Marie. Correct?
That's it. Oh, he trashed the house. It's trashed.
so you're buying the
No, I sold him the house and he never paid me.
Okay, so and he never paid the water.
I had to pay the last 3 years in taxes. And now I got to pay the last 3 years in a water bill. I think the last time I talked to him was like 3,500.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Who owns the house now?
It's $3,732.
$3,700.
Who owns the house now?
I do. Yeah, I sold it to him and then he stopped paying.
Bob, what was your last name again?
SCHNOPP. I got it back I wound up spending $10,000 at a lawyer before I got the idea to go for the tax sale, and I bought the house on the tax sale, and then in July I got the house back from the tax sale. So I stopped the foreclosure.
Okay. I don't think we're in a position right now to make a decision, obviously, on it. I don't know what the precedent is because I'm fairly new to the board. So I would have to go look at that at the very least.
Well, they said they might be able to reduce it some because there's been no water usage in there for several years now.
Let's see. Usage. Yeah, there has been none this year at all.
Okay. And I'm guessing that this number here is obviously not just debt service.
What's that mean?
So there's 3 components to a water and sewer bill, depending on where you're at. There's a debt service if you don't have utilities that are turned on, and that's you've got the meter in there and it's bypassing your house and you're still going to pay $49 a month for that. Then there's the water, and I don't remember exactly what the rate is, and the sewer component. So some people only have water, some people have water and sewer. And some people just have services turned off completely, which is the debt service only. So depending on those side, this number here, it looks like it's probably been a full bill.
It has been a full bill. I'm looking back all the way to 22. And they're all full bills, but
Even after they shut the water off?
well, I don't think they actually ever shut the water off there.
Yeah, I came in and had asked them how come they didn't shut the water off when he was so far behind, and they came out in the street and they shut the water off. But he was living in the house with no water and no electric for well over a year.
What we can do is look over this and get back in touch with you. Would
Okay.
that work?
Yeah,
Do you prefer email or phone?
Whichever way you,
We are recording this, so I will.
whatever's easy.
If you can put your phone number or an email address on the bottom, whichever one you want. That way we don't broadcast your contact information to the whole internet.
everybody knows where he's at anyway.
Yeah.
There, sometimes you don't. So we will look into that and let you know, depending on what we find.
Okay, I appreciate it.
what, if anything, can be done.
Yeah, it's just I'm so far behind. This house, he destroyed the toilet, the tub has got a hole in it, the toilet's busted, everything in there, the heater doesn't work, and it's just, like I said, he was 3 years behind in the taxes. Biggest mistake ever made selling it to him.
I'll say, I think I know what property this is.
Yeah.
And we'll come up with
Okay,
something. If
All
we can,
right.
if there's anything we can do, we will let you know.
all right, thank
Okay.
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to write that down on yours? And then I'm gonna steal this thing.
We can talk about that when we get into executive.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So we have wastewater treatment facility project update. That one's you, right?
That is me. Yes, it is. So we just got a letter today that you guys should just say you're okay with it. It is basically rejecting the one bid we got for the wastewater treatment plant. Because it's, $2 million more than we can afford.
So,
It is the Hoyle Tanner
yeah,
that you got.
since the bid came in more than we can afford, what's the next step if we?
So next step is, so HTA right now is going back through our bid, proposal to see where they could cut. What could we change? What could we cut? Joel contacted, was it our insurance carrier that we talked to at VLCT?
Yeah, I spoke to him.
About, so that one of the problems is their builder's risk insurance is horrifically expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because they consider it a flood area. Although it's elevated where the building is going, that is not a flood area, but according to their insurance carrier, it was. And so it made the premium through the roof.
I apologize. That was Joel. Yes, mine was.
Yes, I was about to say, I thought that was.
Theft. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, what I did also is I took the FEMA firm map, which is what zoning administrators are supposed to use to determine whether a property is in the flood zone, and thereby needing to call Sasha Peeler and having the state come up and tell us and implementing the flood hazard bylaws. And the FEMA firm flood map, when superimposed on Google Earth, 100% shows that plant is not in the flood zone. So
So we
the
have
flood
a
hazard bylaws do not apply, and that should help with the situation, I think.
It's gonna be a,
So we do have we have a method forward, right?
oh yeah, we're moving forward with it. I mean, it's going to come in higher than what we expect. And we're trying to figure out a way to fund that.
So in order to go into that, we have to formally reject the bid.
Yes, because we are we are not accepting this bid.
So can I get a motion to reject the,
Actually, you just have to, don't they just have to authorize?
authorize?
Yeah, because they're the ones who are doing it on our behalf.
Yep.
So,
Hoyle Tanner.
so we're going to authorize Oil Tanner to send the notice of rejected bid to,
Kingsbury.
I'm like, where is their name?
Kingsbury Companies.
Kingsbury Companies. Is that
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So you gonna make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion. Do you want the words for the motion?
Usually I don't, but today I do.
That we are going to motion for Oil Tanner to reject the bid from Kingsbury Companies. All in favor? Aye.
So that's where we met with Ashley Look today from, God, what is the name of her company even?
I just know it's a consultancy.
Yeah, I forget it. They're consultants. They're working with us on both sewer and water for funding. And so she's also, we talked to her today. I'm considering that we might apply to NBRC for a second NBRC grant next year. But there's hiccups with that in that you have to have spent the majority of your current one where you apply for a new one, which we have not done yet. We have not spent any of that grant yet.
Because we have to wait.
It is right. The current grant we have is for the sludge removal.
We start that in the morning, and not in the morning.
In the morning, yes, I wish we would.
We start that in this.
We start that in the spring, and the application, pre-application is July for that. So the trick is, so will we have spent enough of it to qualify? And then the other thing that was brought up to us today is if we apply for a second one and we got it, would it add BABA to all of the project then, which means we couldn't accept it.
It would add what?
BABA, Buy American, Build America,
Oh,
which our project has a current waiver for. It would make our $9 million project $18 million. And so we're not going there. We have a waiver currently that makes it so we don't have to follow BABA because we were it was done before that legislation passed. Time is of the essence for this project because our waiver will expire in 2027. So we've got to get this done, or otherwise they'll make us go back and redo it all. All new
Yeah.
engineering, all new everything.
and
We're not going there.
we can't, we just gotta make it
We're moving
happen.
Forward. We did get, we feel confident that we could get loan money for this. But what we're running up against is our bond vote. We only have a bond vote for 3.756 million. And we have found where we can actually get an additional 750,000 out of the fact that our one loan that we're taking from CWSRF has a subsidy with a maximum subsidy of 750, which we would hit if we use all of their loan money. But that still in this current bid is not enough. So we'd have to go back to the voters for a new bond vote. So that's where we are with wastewater treatment.
We are gonna rebid the project in spring, right? Did you say that?
Actually, she's hoping that we're going to get it back out end of December, 1st of January.
Okay.
But the flood issue should help bring that down because the insurance isn't.
It'll help some. That's
Okay.
part of it. Part of it is they're looking at changing kind of the scope on sludge removal. It's one of those, two of the companies dropped out of the bidding because of the sludge removal. They didn't want to deal with the fact that they're having to deal with a subcontractor for the sludge removal that we've already pre-bid. And it's one of those, okay, well, we'll just do the sludge removal ourselves, but we still need a subcontract. We still need a contractor to do some of the work at the site before they can do the sludge removal. And so they're trying to figure out how they could change the scope to get the other people to bid. Because if we could get more than one bid, I think we would get something more competitive because they all knew that nobody else was bidding. So
Yeah.
here's what it is, take it or leave it.
Right.
So at this point, we're leaving it because we can't take it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Next up is water treatment project update. That's you, Joel, right?
No, that's actually
No.
both of us. We both work on both of these.
He had the answers on WTF and you had treatments.
No, we actually met with Ashley about water treatment. So we did get authorization not authorization. We got an email this week from the drinking water fund, the people that funded on the drinking water side. So DWSRF is drinking water, CWSRF is sewer, clean water, drinking water. And they have said that they will fund our current selection as number one with keeping our two water treatment
streams.
plants. We're not certain that that's real yet, but they said, it would be eligible for funding. So we're moving forward with that. We did send a letter to the property owner today. I think it went out today, asking if they are interested in even entertaining the idea of selling, giving an easement or whatever for us to drill this well that is alternative number 2. Because the state really wants us to pursue that. So that letter went out. We'll see if they come back with anything. The engineer did give us kind of a plot plan of what they're going to do with that property, how much land would they need? And basically it renders
All of
their property useless. Yeah, I mean it, the well has to
70
go kind of,
70 acres of it.
you're right.
It's like a 100-acre parcel, right? 80-acre?
It's
Yeah.
about I think it's 100, isn't it, Joel?
I thought it was around 70 myself, but
Oh,
it's,
We're taking.
well, and the thing is the card online might actually show, because they own property on the other side of
Right.
across the road too, and it might include that for the whole acreage. But that lot, yes, it basically puts the well in the middle. There's a whole protected area around it where they can't do anything. They're putting a road in, a building in. It's
I know where I would stand as a property owner around.
yeah. So would I. But so that process is moving along. Connected to that is the reservoir. And so the South Reservoir, the leak has grown to 30,000 gallons a day. And they have checked every possible, they've recalibrated, they've checked everything. It is basically the gunite liner is just leaking somewhere and nobody can find it. So it needs to be lined, and it needs to be lined
Yesterday.
yes. So, given that, the price for relining that reservoir is $190,000. We are submitting, there is a grant program through the Vermont Bond Bank, which is good for up to $250,000 for failures in water treatment plants. So I'm working on that grant application that will be in next week because it's due by December 2nd. And it has a pretty quick turnaround, so we should know in January if we're going to get it, I believe. And that is a grant with no match.
Okay.
So if we could get that, it would cover the cost of putting that liner in. And it takes that $190,000 out of the big project, because that was part of the big project, was to put a liner in that.
Can they line in January?
Well, it won't get lined in January anyway, because it requires engineering. And so, we're looking at April
Okay.
would be my guess at the earliest.
And what happens if we have a catastrophic failure?
Everybody's going to get wet.
Where is the 30,000 gallons going? I'm sorry, but how do you lose 30,000 gallons and not have a wet spot?
That's
our point.
we have had everybody up there. We've had the things inspected,
GPIs.
they feel
I mean,
filled cracks.
If I drop 1 gallon, I see a wet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, no idea. And I don't think I want to know.
Nope.
No, I don't want to know. Okay, so you got that all under control though.
That's where we are with that.
Should we go out of order and put the budget report for the muni billing update?
No, a budget report's not going to be that long, because it's more we do need to go over the water proposed budget to see what we think, because actually some of it needs to change based on a meeting we had earlier today.
Okay, so muni billing.
Good news. So
I won't say it's good.
I would
Yeah.
say, judging by what I've seen,
we're in a better spot than we were before. Better spot. So we found the issue. There's a setting that needs to be turned on to pull in previous balances with previous bills. That being said, I'm still working with community billing as it relates to the revenue that was not received from the previous billing cycle. We're going to specifically target those accounts and have that brought into the previous billing. Now, the question is, on the bill, do we want it as a separate charge?
I want a
Or do we
completely
wanna-
separate bill.
We need a separate bill. The people are waiting. for
People are
these.
waiting for that.
A separate bill.
And I've polled a couple of people. So one of the options, send them a bill for what we didn't bill them. It was 25,000, 28,000 we billed short,
There may be more than that. We found some.
Yeah.
So
significant shortage.
did you guys did we go over this at the last meeting, the billing error?
No, we only knew,
Okay.
last meeting, all we had was a
So-
couple of people.
Okay, so we discovered by going through the bills for a very long time that If a meter was not read, it did not generate the minimum charge for any of the accounts. You know, it's basically $74 for water, $49 for debt
Debt
service, and
Something
a
else.
hundred and something or other for sewer. That's like the minimum charge. And it didn't do that. It only billed those accounts for debt service. So given, you know, some of our big commercial accounts, if they normally paid for 20 units of water or 23 units of water and their bill was normally $7,000, they got a bill for 1,000. So we discovered that the reason was that those meters were not read, which is another issue that we're going to talk with H2O about, is why did they not know those meters were not read? Because that is not acceptable either. They are supposed to be reading all the meters every month.
And now we have a printout of, you know, what was read, what wasn't read, and we can see that usage. Which the town, as well as the board, as well as the operators should be looking at.
Uh-huh. And the second error that we found was
Which one? Which error is this? Which one am I talking about?
the ones where if they were on debt service, somehow they got a full bill
Yes.
because they were read.
They were read, and yes, we had accounts that should not have been read that showed up as read, and they got a full bill. It's a mess. It's a mess.
And then there was the third issue.
The third issue, well, I don't know. The third issue I know about is the late fees are not calculating correctly because they're only calculating on the debt service.
Okay, then the other issue that I know is that if for some reason the meter doesn't read this quarter, and then we read it next quarter, it doesn't say, oh, that was 2 quarters worth of reads. So you get an overage because it thinks you used 2 quarters worth of usage in 1 quarter. So that's the other one that I knew of. And then there was the wackadoo mistake.
Yes.
And the other issue, so how many gallons are supposed to be included in the quarterly bill? Is it 11,000 or 12,000? Because I thought it had been,
I thought it was 12,000.
12,000.
is it 12 is what it's supposed to be?
So I was gonna go grab this is this.
Okay, that's what it's billing. I just wanted to make sure that was, for some reason, I had 11,000 in mind.
Is that the minutes that I was gonna go pull up?
Well,
Yeah,
it's the
Yeah.
worksheet that was
Yeah.
shared with us last meeting.
Okay, good. Then,
it's 12,000.
okay, so that part is working.
So to kind of bring this full circle, what the next steps are. The next steps are to activate the setting to pull the previous payments over to the current bill, correct and add past due payments to it. From what I've heard, we're going to do this on a separate bill. So we'll bring that into a separate bill
And they need a letter with that separate bill.
and we'll get a letter with that separate bill. And then review the meter data collected before issuing bills. We'll do that as well. And then we're going to print a bill preview and have it ready for the board before the next meeting. And if all is right with the world, then if the board approves, we'll send out the bills.
I still think when we send out the bills, the next quarter's bills, we need to include a letter that says, in the event that you see an error, contact blank. So that,
A lot of the people did. We didn't have an answer for them.
right. But other people said, oh, must be I just overpaid or must be I underpaid. And we just need to put on there a clear method of communication for if there's an error.
There should be a message on the bill that you can put on there.
We can.
Yeah.
Up the right-hand corner.
We do need to look up, though, that if a meter doesn't get read and you bill the minimum and then you go to and you read the meter the next quarter, it doesn't calculate that right.
Right.
Right. We also need to figure out why we're not reading the meters. That's H2O need, and I know it's
Yeah.
complicated.
And the thing is, it may not have even been their fault. It could have been it didn't transfer, but they should have checked
Right,
before they said, yep, it's all set for the bills to go out.
Well,
Yeah.
and what's interesting is they're also the ones that put in that meter data into Muni billing, right? Muni billing isn't just going to do it without the meter information. It needs the meter information that was read. So somewhere in between there, we're missing something.
we need to look at which meters didn't get read and make sure we're being very careful about that.
We will, we have an engineering meeting next week with, Hoyle Tanner regarding the wastewater treatment plant, but Roger typically attends those, and I'll ask him to stay on afterwards and we'll talk to him. Joel and I will. Because the other thing we need to know about is, part of their contract was we're getting all new
Smart
meters.
meters.
What's the time frame on that? What's the timeline?
Yeah,
We
because
do
that'll
need
help.
to, we need to know because we discovered through this process, we have homes with no meters at all. We just build in the minimum. We don't know what they're actually using. They could be using 100,000 gallons of water a month and we wouldn't know.
Did we get to the bottom of where our service is actually present?
No, that's another thing.
That's the next thing.
That's the thing with them too. They need to go out and verify a few of those accounts because we have certain accounts that are in odd places that they don't have sewer charges. When everything around them has sewer, but that property does not. And so I just want a physical validation that yes, they do have a septic system. They are not connected to the town sewer. There's only a handful of them, but I think it's
They kind
important.
of stick out as oddballs when you start really
Yes,
looking at it.
yes. When you have this house, this house, this house, this house, and this house has sewer, but this one does not. Why?
It was very interesting. It was an eye opening.
Some of this wouldn't have got caught when they did their line check.
Service line inventory.
They would have found water. They would not have found sewer. Because sewer is not, they were not checking for sewer. They were checking for water. They do know which houses don't have meters. Because they could tell us, oh yeah, they don't have a meter. Why?
Then let's fix it. Let's get those smart ones in first. Let's first address those.
Because we have another house up here on South Street that just gets billed flat rate water and sewer. It's an apartment building.
Correct.
Why? Who
Because I
made this
mean,
deal? But it's in
even-
the system that way.
There's a couple of them that even like, I think the number of units may be off a little for some of the,
There is one that, so Three Branches Cafe, I guess you guys we should get your approval on that. So they are currently only being billed for one unit because it showed up, they only got billed debt service. So they got a $49 water bill. But they are 2 units. They have a housing unit upstairs and the restaurant downstairs.
that's the least shit.
And so it should be 2 units. So we need to modify their,
Do we need to, when we send them their corrected bill, can we make a special letter to them, letting them know that this has
Yes.
been noted?
yes, I just need
So
you
that-
guys to say, yes, that's your you're approving it going to 2 units. Because that's
Starting next quarter.
Yes, yeah, we can't go backwards
Yeah.
because they didn't. The thing is, they were paying metered usage. It's more the debt service. You lose out on
Right.
$49 extra every time that pays the bills.
Right. Okay, so do you want to make a motion
Oh.
to
I'll make that motion.
move the, what's that address?
28 Cross Street.
28 Cross Street,
How do we know that address?
to 2 units, effective next quarter. And I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
Who's gonna make that actual change to the program?
I'll make sure.
Mr. Mike,
Right.
with a backup of Mr. Joel.
Joel doesn't have access to the billing
Okay,
software.
then the
I
backup.
can give
of
it to
Ella.
him, but I bet he doesn't want it.
I don't want it.
This one doesn't want it either. If I look at another set of bills, line by line by line by line again, I might, well, we're gonna do that next quarter because I'm not letting them go out with that information on them again.
How many cases like this would you? see?
No,
Really? More
Uh,
than.
like one billing edit report was, what was it? It was like 60 pages and the next one was 74 pages. Like we lost multitude of pages of of data that were just lost.
And we did find, and we will let you know that too. We did have one account that they kept coming into town hall. It was people that have had a water, they've owned their house for 12 years and paid water every quarter, came in to pay their bill and they said, you don't have an account. And problem is nobody actually dealt with it when that came up a year ago. And so when I went back and looked, so they built a new house and they connected water service to that new house. But when they went to set up the account, they just transferred the account from their house to that house. And so their current house had no account anymore. And then the house got sold off that they built. And so it didn't even have their name on it anymore. So I only found it through the account number.
So, and say, and the way that it happened is that person who bought the house wasn't getting a bill, came in and said, where's my bill? And they went and found it by the address, updated the name on it. And then the original person who was getting the bill for the wrong address stopped getting a bill. So that's that's a full, the house has been built for a year and a half. So it's a year and a half worth of water and debt service that did not get billed out because of that error. Can't happen again.
And that's uncollectible.
Yeah, it's-
Uncollectible. You cannot,
You can't go back now because there was no account at that time. So
and I'm not even sure if we can collect.
And that was a year ago.
it was a year ago well, I think she started coming in because that's when the account changed names was last June of 23. Because that's when that account number, the name and the address changed on it. And that's the only way I found it because I was going back through old bills and I'm like, okay, I see her bill. And then I get to one billing cycle and her bill's not there, but that account number pulls up somebody else's name with a different address.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation that cannot happen again. You learn from your mistakes. So are we on to the budget report now?
Yes. It's not even a report. This is proposed budgets for next year. I have not, Teresa was out. She had surgery again Friday. So she was out yesterday. She was back today, but she was pretty covered up. So I do not have a current budget report.
Oh. Do you see the line on the proposed budget that stuck out to me?
And the thing is, this is very drafty. I was, yes, it used to be in the budget.
How's that a water and sewer one?
The water owns the camp.
Oh, is that,
And do you know anything about that camp, Joel? Is it gone? Did it burn down?
Which one is
Which
this?
camp?
A one that the water department owns. I think it was Paul LaFave's camp.
Paul LaFave's? It burned.
That's what I thought. But
oh, so
It's-
this is
this is the-
what we-
this is the
He
weird
asked
one
us-
it's showing up in Muni billing. This is another account that needs to
Yes.
get fixed.
Just like the,
I just wanted to make sure he's not actually paying it. We
Well-
have a bill out there.
The only bill would be him paying rent, but he's not doing that anymore. I could tell you that.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it popped
thought.
out. It popped out. I'm like, what's this?
We have an account that shows that it's past due, but it's in our billings and so that account needs to get taken out.
Yeah,
And it's under,
Yeah, please.
yes, it's under camp lease, but it's under Paul LaFave's name, I do believe.
Yes.
he came to the board and asked them to extend his lease, and I think they said no. That's what I recollect.
Yes, it's got a $300 back bill on it. It's MTN 5500.
Thank you.
And yes, that needs to go away. But yeah, no, that's not there. But like on your proposed water budget, so when we met with Ashley today, where we have $2,000 has always been in the budget for new connections. He said we should take that dollar amount. It should never be in our budget. We should never count on new connections, which
Okay.
obviously we never actually collected anyway, because we rarely have new connections.
Well, I was thinking about that.
About
Um,
one a year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the thing is, we didn't have any in 24. We've had none yet this year.
None yet.
Well, we,
How about
we
that?
should have had the one that was not listed that you just talked about.
Well, but they actually had an
That's,
account
yeah,
already.
that's right.
We just didn't open a new account for the new house.
Yeah,
Because Eric did pay the connection fee and everything for it. But they just, instead of creating a new account for that house, they just moved his old account over. And I'm sure it was a mistake, and they happen, but
so do we also budget for reconnection fees or are those just bonuses?
I reconnection fees, I would probably leave it in there only because after we go through our next discussion, we'll probably have some.
Right.
The new house up on, is it South Street?
No, it was the house on out
East
105
Brighton Road,
East Brighton Road.
Okay,
Eric and Morgan Driscoll.
okay. Sure.
I mean, it's public record. It's not like it's really that private. It's not like they did anything wrong. We did it wrong.
No, they were trying to pay a bill.
Yeah, she kept coming in and asking.
Didn't what's his name's house on South Street at the top of the hill that he just built there on South Street? Wasn't that 2024? He would have needed a connection there.
Did he actually ever connect it?
I don't think it's a model home. You're talking about the model home, right?
Yeah, the one there.
I don't think it's actually
I
connected.
don't think it's connected to water yet.
Uh-huh.
But I know there was a deal made between him and the current board about relaxing the bill. The installation of materials or something was,
There was,
Yeah.
I do remember something about that in one of the meetings.
they reduced.
Mark Bean, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there was
I'm gonna have
something.
to go look through some
Yes.
minutes.
That was probably,
January, February?
yeah, it was a while
It was
ago.
before I wound up landing here.
Yes.
I have to go read the
Yeah, you
minutes.
two are both new on here.
This is what the minutes being searchable online are for.
That would be a good thing if you could have the water board minutes scanned in like Mike did for the selectmen's minutes. That's the,
I think I have
Huge
some of
boom.
those scanned. I've just never actually turned it into anything. I think I scanned a lot of the old ones already. I'll have to look. I just don't think I ever got around to putting them into the file.
I'll
and
go
NCR
look
them.
them up online because sometimes you can just get a hit.
That one you can get. The select board one is nice. We have all the select board minutes back, I don't know, 50, 60 years, something like that. And so you can actually search by keyword, you can search by any term and
Absolutely.
find all the weird things.
Okay, so
So that we need to take new connections out of there. Water rents, I haven't figured out your new rates. And so if you're okay with it, Ashley volunteered today that if I send her our current rate stuff, she will look at it and make recommendations on where we should go with our rates.
that would be great.
Because one of the things that she talked about is, we need to tighten up our system. Because, if we're going to continue using the two water sources, there is the possibility we could have water shortages. With climate change, it's very possible. And so we need to actually get some of the water usage under control. We have accounts that are using massive amounts of water. I mean, one house, 26,000 gallons a quarter. And so what I'm going to propose to you guys for your rates for next year on this is not so much changing the base rate on your water, but those high usage accounts, the overage rates, I think those should step up higher so that, it kind of discourages you from just letting the toilet leak for 10 years.
So what we're talking about now for setting the new rates, that is to go into effect and the bills go out in January?
We
'Cause
typically,
I would want to include a letter, if at all possible, anticipating what lessons learned from the prior board.
yes.
We cannot have a surprise without something saying, alert, rate increase coming. Here's what we anticipate the new rate to
And I
be.
say, I think that when we're doing budgeting, going forward. I don't think trying to set rates in December for a January start date is a good idea.
Right.
I think our rate year should probably run March through March,
Right.
March through the end of February of the following year. That, when you put your budget together and you know what the budget is in January, then you can set the rates for the current year, and that will take effect with the March bills, not with the January bills or whatever they are, April, I don't even know what.
And
month
say
the bill.
either way, they need
The
a
second-
heads up.
The second bill that comes due in the year. I think it would make more sense because your budget needs to go out to the voters at town meeting day. So it's really hard to say, okay, January 1st, here's your new bill, but you haven't seen what the budget even looks like for the
Right.
that you can complain about it. Not that voters really have a say in the water and sewer board budget, because they don't. It's
But the payers need to know that a rate increase is coming
yes.
and not get, and estimated, I personally would rather estimate high if we are not at a final number than say nothing. And cause I'd rather go, okay, as a payer, I would rather say, okay, I need to budget for an extra $40 and find out it's only 30 than budget for it to be the same and then get hit with a 50.
So water, we're gonna have to do the same thing. We got some guidance from Ashley today on what are loan payments gonna look like on this water treatment plant project. At its current cost of $8 million, which probably will be more. But, funding wise, we're probably looking at, a $200,000 annual payment on that project. And how do we cover that? How do we pay that? And how do we get the rates to a point where they can cover that? So, that project is a couple of years away. So we can start with smaller increases, but we do have to increase every year and get us to the point where when you get to when that first payment is due, you're able to pay it.
It makes sense.
And I think we need to look, and maybe for the next meeting, I'll try and put together a 5-year budget for water using that assumption. And what we've learned from wastewater is you have to put staff time in.
Right.
Because these projects do not do themselves. There is going to be just as much work on that project as there is on wastewater. And, we're spending oodles and oodles of hours on wastewater. So we do need to make sure we include that in the budget as well. And the nice thing is that staffing cost kind of helps absorb that money that you're collecting early, but it tapers off as those loan payments come due. That's kind of how we're working the wastewater treatment plant is, yes, there's a lot of cost for us to be working on that.
Makes sense.
And when you look at, next year's, I'm not even sure that what we have in there for labor is really adequate for 2025. I'm almost going to suggest that we change that to 45,000. Only because we're going back looking for money again. It's not, the more we can bring in under some kind of grant money is going to certainly save us in the long run.
Right.
Hey, Mike, how many ratepayers are there for water?
Water is about 700, I think.
So if we got $200,000 divided by 700 is $285 a year per, divided by 12 is about $24 a month extra.
Right. Yeah. It's not terrible, but it's No.
Not good.
no, it's not. It could be worse.
Every month.
I understand, but that's part of the reason why we need to get this muni billing fixed is we are going to need to turn to a monthly billing.
We do need to go to monthly billing. And the other thing that Ashley did talk about today is that once we replace all of our meters, she said your usage charges are going to go through the roof because
The
all
meters are
these
accurate.
old meters are not accurate. And so, that's going to be it's a big source of revenue for us going forward. But it's also, people are going to be shocked when they get a new meter and there's going to be lots of arguments over it. I don't use that. I never used that amount of water before. Well, you did. It just didn't get counted.
Is that why we're losing 30,000 gallons a day?
I was just
Because the
gonna ask
meters
if
aren't
that's-
reading, right?
No, it's the wrong meter that's reading.
It was a nice thought.
well,
I
was
tried that
Would
already.
that be where the 30,000?
No, no, because we actually have meters up there. They're showing it going
In
into
and
the
out.
reservoir and out of the reservoir. And what's going in is way higher than what's coming out.
Did they fix those meters?
Yes,
Did
they
smart meters on
recalibrated.
those?
They've been recalibrated. They did. Trust me, I have been after them about every possible thing I could think of.
So this is, you'll rework that
I'm
number.
gonna rework that. I'm gonna
Okay.
rework this budget because, I did this last week and then we met with Ashley actually came to town today and met with Joel.
I say, I think the big thing is to get Ashley's input on what to do. And keeping in mind that we still, I don't know if we have an up-to-date report that shows what statewide and where we're falling on that.
We're, I saw one a year ago and we're in the middle.
Okay.
We're not the highest, we're not the lowest, we're kind of in the middle. I mean, I can tell you based upon what I pay where I live, I pay way more than you do here.
Right. I just want to make sure that we stay at that affordability. Like, I mean, I know that's a big thing. And I know there's certain things that we can't control, but
And another resource, because I know we'll be using Ashley for a while, but another resource that I brought in last year was we actually had a gentleman from the state who helps towns set water and sewer rates for the foreseeable future. So that's always a resource you guys can utilize at any time. Doesn't cost us.
we didn't actually use his recommendations last year.
We did not.
Mike, can I ask who Ashley is, last name?
Ashley looked and it's Lucht.
She's where?
a
I,
company,
you've thrown out 17 different acronyms today, so,
Sorry,
no, that's okay. I Googled them.
let me look up. She's got it's innovation something or other.
But is she a consultant or?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
a consultant, that works.
In my email, just looking at that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, just sent.
We have the previous meetings.
I'm gonna remember it now. It's
Yeah.
the quantified venture.
Fiber.
I haven't even found the email, but I know that's what it
I
is.
couldn't form the words. The minutes from the previous meeting.
Quantified ventures.
And you had innovation in that?
Yeah, something like that. I was like, whatever. It sounded innovative.
Could be virtually anything. Thank
Did
you.
you
I
say
appreciate that.
dentures?
Yeah.
No, you're not getting.
Actually, I was a little perturbed when she's sitting there talking about the guy today that, well, he's worked for the state since before I was born.
And then she said, what, 1999?
78. And I'm like, really? I was born in 68, bitch.
79.
Oh.
Remember, the poop in the lagoons is older than me.
Oh, God.
Okay, so that's it on the budget report. Do we have any other business?
Oh, minutes. I don't
I think-
have.
I think he's gone to get the minutes. I think that's
Okay.
where Noah went.
Have you all?
I read the minutes, by the way. I have a new email. It is waterboardchair@brightonvt.gov.
Do you want a new email address for water board?
Probably should have it.
I think we should get waterboard 2 and waterboard 3. Do you want 2 or 3?
You're here, so
Where did I do them?
So 3 is.
I must have,
3 is
yes, I'm sure.
underlined.
yeah, 2 and I don't have any of those set up yet. So 2 it is.
Yeah. We'll
And then
put-
Mark gets number
October.
3, and then if any of us ever get off the board, somebody else just inherits our new email.
16.
So we don't have copies of the minutes, but I've read them. Did you read them online?
Yes, I did.
Do you want to make a motion to approve them?
I move we accept the minutes previous session as written.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
I,
So we are going to go,
There was other business. I apologize. I stepped out real briefly. I was,
window closed.
I know.
While I'm working on this, as well as other things, there was a hydrant that was nailed. It was hit on Pleasant Street. We're replacing it, but the parts have not come in. Just want to make you guys aware of that. So we're working on replacing it as soon as we get the part. The guy who has the part, he's been on back order for well over a month. So I'm staying on top of
Is that
that.
flange that they need to replace?
Yeah.
That, okay, check valve.
So you're repairing it, not replacing the whole unit.
Oh, I could give you that's
Oh, no, it's the whole
update.
So it's a new,
From the pipe that comes out of the ground up.
for now. It might be more, but we'll see.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
She hit it hard.
Oh, yeah, she did. She skidded right across the culvert. I would have heard about that one. But I definitely didn't hear about the fire hydrant till later. So
So that everybody knows that when you knock a hydrant off, there's a valve that goes and closes it up automatically on its own, so it doesn't spray in the air.
Oh, that takes all the fun out of it.
Yes, because I learned that when a vehicle slid out of a driveway and hit the hydrant and it didn't go. I was like, well,
The movies all show that it.
oh, that took the fun out of it.
Don't they have parts like that in stock that they keep?
Ours are probably 800 years old, Joel.
nothing
Try
that
it.
fits the new one.
Call any of the other municipalities, see if they would be willing to loan us one until we get the new one in.
There's no loaning.
Well, I mean, like, can you
But we
give you our one when it comes in if you give us yours?
but
that
we
you have?
also want that guy to come out to make sure that's all we have.
Oh, true. Okay,
Otherwise, if we have to do more, we want to get the right stuff.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So I'm staying on top of Zach. That's all I have.
Any other
But
business?
I will give you one more quick update in that I heard that they are repairing the generator at
Yes.
the South Treatment Plant. I think when I talked to Mark the other day, so Mark, who did I talk to?
But you're right. They are repairing.
Somebody said the part was in that they were going to replace and that was scheduled to be done. So
Okay.
I don't remember who told me that. Maybe I just dreamt it, but I know I heard it.
We want everybody
Yeah, yeah.
in on this for the executive session.
Yeah. We're just going to discuss delinquent accounts. We need guidance from the board as to how you want to deal with each of these accounts. And because we're going to discuss who it is and how much they owe.
We need to.
It should be an executive
Okay,
session.
so I need a motion to go into executive session, to discuss past due delinquent accounts and potential shut-offs with the members of the board, Mike, Joel, and Noah.
You can just say staff.
I still move that.
I second, all in favor, aye, entering into executive